Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Welcome to the Community Updates call. This is Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone to the call. Remind folks to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6, then press star 6 again to unmute yourself when it is time for you to speak. I can tell that someone on the call is unmuted at the moment, so I'll just remind everybody to take a moment to mute now. And we'll start off the call with the Board of Commissioners roll call. Commissioner Scar, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. And Commissioner Olson?
Good morning. Yes, I am here.
Good morning to both of you. Well, we'll jump right in with Adventist Health Tillamook. Do we have Eric Swanson on the call?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
We have 18 patients in the hospital today, so it's a busy day here. Yesterday we did 12 surgery cases. Yesterday our ambulance crews transported 3 911 patients, 1 transfer, no transports home. Today there's 111 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon waiting for hospital beds. That's 7 less than yesterday. And there's 418 that have been discharged but have no place to go, which is 13 less than yesterday. We continue to look for options for our renal care dialysis patients in our community. I'm having calls and discussions on a regular basis with a variety of potential solutions, but as of today, we still don't have a solution for them. So for those of you who have a prayer list, this would be something to add to it, that we find a organization that is interested in providing dialysis services in Tillamook. And again, we simply rent the space to U.S. Renal Care. They're a separate business, and unfortunately, their business model apparently no longer works in Tillamook. So again, we continue to look for options, but at this point, I haven't found any yet. So that is all I've got for you, unless you've got questions for me.
Eric, thank you for your report, and thanks for that update. People are, of course, asking and concerned about the patients at U.S. Renal Care, and I had also heard something similar, that the for-profit model would require considerably more patients than they currently have. So something I wonder about, and I don't know if you know this, were there previously more dialysis patients? Is there some reason that fewer local people are experiencing kidney failure now, or are people going elsewhere? Or do you know anything about that?
Well, I don't know a whole bunch about it. I know that there are, they have had more patients in the past, and if someone, like a friend of mine, had a family member who was in renal failure and used dialysis until they got a kidney, and then they no longer needed it. So that's a good side, right? That you don't need dialysis anymore. I think there's also the issue that some people opt for home dialysis, and and we know that there's some other folks in our community who are getting prepped for dialysis, but who haven't actually started it yet. And their business model, I flat out asked them how much money they needed a year to make, in addition to whatever they're making, that it's not sustainable for, I don't think, any of us to contribute that amount of money year over year. So.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing to try to find a solution. The community is grateful, as am I.
Yep, we will do our best, but it's definitely something that we want to see happen. It's just I don't know that we don't have the solution today. So, but we'll keep trying.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Eric? If not, we can move on to the Coastal Caucus. Do we have Senator Weber with us this morning?
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Boy, was it foggy driving down here this morning.
Oh, I'll bet.
But I'm here, so it's and it's in the 40s, so that's fine. It's not freezing fog, so I'm happy with that.
Yes.
Things are continuing on. we are continuing to have discussions on the governor's housing bill, and we are continuing to have discussions on 110. We're going to be talking about it this morning again, because we are not really sure of all of the changes that could possibly come to the 110 bills, but we're optimistic. One thing that we are all agreeing on in our caucus especially is that there has to be a piece of the legislation that guarantees that we will have continuing education for our young people. Because as you have seen in the news recently, our young people are highly impacted by the drug crisis. The number of people that have died in our state is abysmal. So anyway, we're finishing. Hopefully that'll come to us soon so we can have continued debate and see if there are other changes that need to be made. But the leadership right now is keeping the final document close to its chest. And so we don't know yet all of what is in what they are going to be proposing. So that's all I can tell you on that. We're finishing our Senate bills in our committees, and we'll have a little bit of a lull in the middle of the week because we're waiting for bills to come over that have passed through the House. And so, of course, then the House bills that have passed in the Senate will proceed to the House, and because we both have to approve them, and that doesn't mean that some of them won't be changed in the process. I think as on the whole, we have passed about 7 bills. That is all that we have done as far as floor activity as a whole, Senate together. So things are moving slowly, and I'm sure that as this session goes on, once our education components are all in place, everyone has explored the bills to the limit, then things will move along very quickly. But right now, we're waiting for House bills to come over, to come to our committees so that we can continue to work. I was in town this weekend. The charity drive is in full swing. What an exciting time for the community. I know things are winding down. I just wish them all the best of luck, and the casseroles and the brunches and the cinnamon rolls and everything that they did was wonderful. And so it's a victory all the way around. My bill on Highway 30 may be moving today. It's scheduled for a work session at 5 o'clock tonight. And, we've had another serious accident and another serious slide on Highway 30. And so hopefully the committee will give its blessing to move it ahead. Right now, we're still deciding on how much that is going to cost to study that, and not at the detriment of maintenance on Highway 30. So, things have all got to be ironed out, but it's looking good currently. There are some other things that I am working on. I'm working on port concerns, especially for Garibaldi, and hoping to get the dredge in and working. I'm working on family leave issues because even though it sounds good on paper and on the radio, when people go to collect their family leave that was, instituted by the state not that long ago, they have a lot of problems. And so when you are off work, you need to pay your bills. And so we're working on making sure that the state is fulfilling its part of the obligation also. I'm working on building permits. There are some glitches in all our counties concerning building permits, but the ones I'm working on right now are in Multnomah County. So good news for Tillamook County. I testified on the courthouse bill because we really need to be able to let bonds for remodeling our courthouses. Building new is very expensive. There are things we can do to our courthouses to improve the service for people. And so I testified on that. Today, every day during the short session, we have a focus of some sort, and today is CREF Day. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what CREF is. It's the Cultural Resources Economic Fund. And we have several places within our district there's 3, I believe, that are requesting funds from CREF to be able to construct museums. So it is a fund that supports nonprofits and capital construction projects, but it's specifically for cultural things. There's the people in Rainier have been hoping to break ground on a museum. They have almost all of the money that they need, but not quite. They have the land, they have the plans, they have everything, but they're just a little short of the money. They're asking for money from CREF. And I'm sure that when I look at my schedule for today, that they will be here to talk to me, to be an advocate for it. I have testified in favor of it. It's also the Columbia County Historical Society is requesting money from CREF, and so is the Film Museum in Astoria, which I don't know if you know, but we have a very extensive film museum in Astoria, and they are hoping to expand in time. So I've got committee today, I've got caucus, we've got time on the floor. Every day we get a blue sheet, and that tells us what bills are going to be discussed. And I haven't had my blue sheet yet, and so I'm going to go to work on that as soon as I get through with your call. But I hope everything is all right, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this.
Thank you, Senator. I'm so grateful that you spend this time with us. You obviously are going in early to be able to be on this call with us. And I'm really grateful for the update and to hear all the things that you're working on, which is a lot. I wanted to mention that I had a meeting yesterday with the Manzanita City Council President, Linda Kozlowski, and their new mayor, Catherine Stock, and perhaps Catherine is on this call, and she'll talk later when we get to the cities. But we mentioned you because a couple weeks ago I met with the Manzanita City Council President and the city manager of Manzanita, and they were asking me about funding for a project, and I had heard you talk about it on this call. I had heard you talk about this subject, and so it was easy. It was nice for me to be able to say, "Oh, hey, I just heard Senator Weber talking about that recently. You should reach out to her." Yeah. So yesterday, I heard that they did reach out to you, that you were very responsive. You met with them. You're trying to work on their problem, which I loved. I loved your responsiveness, and I also loved that connection happened on this call. So would you talk about that for a minute?
Yes. I got word from Linda Kozlowski that she had some wishes for the city of Manzanita, and I hadn't had any kind of correspondence from them in the past concerning things, but we have especially been looking for housing projects that we could ask to be funded in the governor's bill. And so Manzanita has a great project going forward that could qualify. And they also have a water project. And, it's really important that we have the infrastructure to be able to support the housing before we decide to build. And so a week and a half ago, I turned in all of their plans to the capital construction and to the housing committee. And so they are all with the people at the senators and representatives at Ways and Means. And so hopefully we will be able to get some action. If I have an opportunity to testify, I will be doing that to encourage our Ways and Means people to support these projects. Unfortunately, we have a lot of projects in our district, and we put together a whole spreadsheet and presented it to everybody we could that will listen to us about what we need in our district, especially for housing and for infrastructure. So I will continue to advocate. I'll continue to advocate for Tillamook and Scappoose and every place in between, so that we can get the infrastructure projects underway. Whether we get that or not, I don't know. It's always a crapshoot, but you don't get anything if you don't ask.
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate it. In that meeting yesterday, we also talked about the possibility of reconvening. There used to be a group of mayors, of elected people, mayors, commissioners, legislators that met regularly. We talked about reconvening that. So you may very well hear from Manzanita to ask you to come to one of those meetings and perhaps talk about, So that would be wonderful.
Those quarterly meetings, I'm sorry if I interrupted, but those quarterly meetings were very valuable because it was a way that we could get agencies, DEQ and anything from the state to be able to come and address all of us once. And we would all bring our lunches and we would sit and we would listen and we would discuss common problems. And it was the city manager from Manzanita, who was one of the people who was very instrumental in making that happen. And Shirley Kalkoven was also. And so it was a really good opportunity to get together, to share concerns, and to continue to work together on common issues that we all had.
Thank you. I totally agree. And I'll be happy to see that meeting reconvene. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that I really appreciated what you said about continuing education, supporting continuing education, because not only are our young people impacted by drugs, which is true and tragic, but also I read recently that across the nation, Oregon students continue to lag in terms of the COVID effect. And so everything that we can do to support our students in continuing education, I think is really important and valuable. So thank you.
Right. And, we're working right now on, not this minute, we're continuing to work on addressing the absences in our schools and trying to help our substitutes and the aides that we have in our school. And there are ongoing committees that are addressing the concerns of these folks, but especially absences, because we have not paid really good attention to that as a state, as to keeping kids in school. So it's another challenge that we have, because if they're not there, what are they learning?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. Do we have any other questions for Senator Weber? If not, I will thank you once again and let you get to your next committee meeting. And I'll ask if Representative Javity is with us.
I am here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I just barely joined the call, and I didn't get to hear everything Senator Weber said. So I may repeat, and I apologize if I do, but
that's okay.
Senator Weber's been busy, and as have I. We've been working on a lot of issues, including things like Highway 30 and the dialysis issue we have in town, as well as some other bigger issues like Measure 110, as far as bigger, meaning the statewide than just our area. Yesterday I had, was our first deadline. That means everything is, that we heard in the House committees is now moving to the floor to be voted on. And I expect everything that's going to the floor will move on and head to the Senate. My inbox has been full of emails about several issues, Measure 110, of course. I wish I had some new news to say there. Maybe Senator Weber already did, but there's still a little bit of a game of chicken going on about whether or not it will be a Class C misdemeanor or a Class A misdemeanor or some other kind of misdemeanor. Last week, the Supreme Court of Oregon said, hey, we've got a real problem processing low-level felonies because we don't have enough public defenders, et cetera. How are we going to handle the influx of Class A misdemeanors? And so the problem continues to be complicated to solve. But we are standing strong for those of us that want recriminalization on a Class A misdemeanor. So we'll if you're paying attention this week, you'll see lots of information coming that will they'll be changing constantly as the debate continues. Yesterday, the CDC issued a report saying that Oregon was the worst, it seemed the worst highest rise in overdose deaths since 2019, I believe, at 1,500%. The next down was Oklahoma, I think, at 1,200%, and then 900%. So it was number 3. So we're almost double what number 3 is. And that's largely due to just how powerful and dangerous a drug fentanyl is. And then you have to ask why Oregon. I mean, obviously fentanyl is probably available everywhere. And I know a lot of the experts are, pointing their fingers to, hey, we just have a lack of tough laws right now on this issue, and so we need to focus on that. So I think we're seeing that all around us with homelessness, with loved ones becoming addicted to these substances, and being duped and thinking they're taking one thing and they're actually taking something laced with fentanyl, which is causing extreme reactions, overdoses, and sometimes death. The other issue I'm getting in my inbox is the standard daylight time change. There is a bill in the Senate that passed out of committee unanimously, heading to the floor there, that would, once we switch back to standard time in March, if it passes out of the Senate and the House, we would stay on the standard time going forward. We apparently don't need congressional approval. I'd say by and large, the majority of, I would say like 10 to 1 on this are people who do not want to adopt standard time and want to be on daylight savings time if we're going to be on one. So that is coming over. It'll be heard in the Rules Committee probably next week, maybe later this week. And talking with some of the Democrats friends that I have, they're hearing the same thing. So that people don't want to switch to standard. So I'm not sure what will come of that, but the amount of attention that's getting compared to other issues that we're talking about, I thought was notable. And then recreational immunity is still on the table, and I'm not sure what the fate of that is. I'm getting a lot of emails about that as well. And there is a bill in the Senate. Last I heard, Senator Przansky was opposed to that, most likely because the lobby that supports lawsuits related to recreational immunity, the Oregon Trial Lawyers Association is opposed to a change to recreational immunity. So there's the state of that's unknown. However, there are some other possible avenues that we're exploring this week to get with the problem fixed with recreational immunity. So I will keep you posted on that as well. And then lastly, working very hard on some other local issues we have, including the bridge that we have that's out off of Highway 22 in Three Rivers area, and just getting some money for some other infrastructure projects in Tillamook and Clatsop County, and also a proposal to put a cell tower up on Highway 6 on Department of Forestry land. And then lastly, today I have a bill that will be heard in the Agriculture Committee related to the Habitat Conservation Plan. I keep saying it's related to the Habitat Conservation Plan, and I think people who are opposed to this bill think that it's going to change the Habitat Conservation Plan, and it's not. The bill that I have up today is just to give us better data. It's to ask the Department of Forestry to make sure we have accurate numbers on inventory, harvest levels, et cetera, going forward, so that counties and industry and the state can make better plans about their budgets. And so that will be heard in Ag. Unfortunately, the chairman of that committee got enough pushback from conservation groups who I'm sure are well-meaning, and I appreciate their input, but to the point where he will not be giving it a vote, so there's no chance it will make it out of committee this session, which means it won't doesn't have a chance of becoming a law. But he did guarantee me that we'll revisit this in the long session, where we can talk again about how the impact of the Habitat Conservation Plan will impact our counties and businesses, and what we can do to mitigate some of those consequences. Today, representatives from the counties as well as from the district, as well, including government and business, will be going to testify to the state about what the bill will do. So looking forward to that. I think this is still a win for us. It's not the win I was hoping for. And we'll still get this moving in the right direction. It's just going to take a little longer than I hoped to get some of these supportive legislative laws in effect to help mitigate, like I said, some of the consequences from the HCP on the economic side. And that is it for my report this week. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Representative. And I want to thank you for coming over last week and meeting with me at the courthouse. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I appreciated your update about things that you're doing in the short session. It meant a lot to me, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoyed that too, and I think it's always insightful to hear what new issues are popping up and how the county is tackling them. So I appreciate the hard work you're doing. And I just want to use the forum real fast just to, I know that the community is very concerned about the dialysis issue. I've had calls with Oregon Health Authority, with the CCOs, the county, with the state. I am looking in every crevice I can find for a solution, for funds, for whatever we can to help those that are affected by this. And I don't have any concrete data, but everybody else, including the CEO of the hospital, the county, et cetera, are also doing the same thing. So we haven't forgot, and we're definitely, this is a top issue, probably more important than many of the other things that we're working on right now. So anyway, just to give a little update there, and I'll circle back as soon as I have better information.
Thank you so much. Do we have questions for Representative Javidi? If not, we'll say thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Centers.
Oh, good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Tillamook County's Ed Colson with the Health Department here.
Good morning, Ed.
And good morning. So tomorrow, February 21st, is Oregon School Exclusion Day for immunizations. The Oregon Immunization Program reminds caretakers that children may not be able to attend school or childcare if their records on file show missing immunizations. So if your child needs immunizations, please contact your healthcare provider, 211, or you can call our office at 503-842-3900. No one's turned away from our health center because of the inability to pay for required vaccines, so you can just go ahead and give us a call. So starting this week through March 5th, we are holding focus groups online and in person to gather input from as many community members as we can. We need your help to chart the future of the critical services we provide, which includes primary care, dental, behavioral health, environmental health, and public health. We are working with a company called Solid Ground who specializes in gathering health feedback to conduct these focus groups for us. The information they collect and present back to us will not include personal details. Instead, it will be a summary of the feedback and learnings to help us serve the community even better. Our focus groups are limited to 12 to 15 people per group, and a gift card will be provided to each person for their time and opinion. Registration is required, so please visit our website, tillamookchc.org, to learn more and register. We are hosting another overdose prevention training, which is open to the general public on Thursday, February 29th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Blue Heron. This training will be similar to the Nachos and Narcan event we held last summer at TVCC. The training includes a talk about stigma reduction, local overdose data and trends, how to identify and respond to an overdose, and naloxone safety and training. The training also goes in depth on fentanyl exposures and other misinformation that may be commonly shared in the media. So we hope to give Tillamook County residents the information and tools they need to help navigate the climate we have found ourselves in. There will also be a free dinner served by Blue Heron to the first 50 folks who RSVP by email to Rachel.Koljeski, and that's Koljesky, at tillamookcounty.gov, or please give us a call to RSVP 503-842-3934. And that is our update for the health department.
Thank you so much, Ed. Do we have any questions for Ed? If not, we can move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson, are you with us? Gail?
She's not with us
Well.
today, Commissioner Bell. She had emailed she was unavailable.
Oh, thank you.
You're
How
welcome.
about the Tillamook Family Counseling Center?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Frank Cannon Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. You can reach us for information, questions about appointments by calling 503-842-8201. I want to specifically kind of highlight something that is going to be happening during the month of March. Actually, for 3 sessions in March, we are beginning our active parenting series. It is 3 sessions, March 4th, March 11th, and March 18th, from 6 to 8 p.m. And that is a virtual meeting. This active parenting series is a training that is being offered at no charge to participants that live in the region that is covered by the Northwest Parenting Network. We are part of that network, and that covers Tillamook, Clatsop, and Columbia counties. Participants will receive an active parenting handbook, active parenting workbook, and training regarding effective parenting and caregiver skills, improved communication strategies for student success. Active Parenting is a parenting education series for parents and caregivers of children who are between the ages of 5 and 12. If you're interested in registering for this free virtual series, you can email, it is Melissa CS at tfcc.org. That is Melissa CS at tfcc.org. Or you can call the agency for some additional information, 503-842-8201. That is my report for today. And I'll take questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Frank. I'd just like to recommend the active parenting series to any parents who might like to have some more tools for your parenting toolbox, because who doesn't occasionally struggle with parenting? So it's I took it years ago when my son was 12ish, and it was very helpful to me. I thought it was great, so I recommend it. And it wasn't a remote then, so that makes it even more convenient. Do we have any questions for Frank? If not, we can move on to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Brown, are you with us?
Good morning, Commissioner. I am here.
Good morning.
There's been quite a bit going on at the sheriff's office. More so, I think, coming from my office because you got short session, and I've been active with the Oregon State Sheriff's Association, having conversations about what bills and things that we're trying to support. Of course, we're not even close to the level of involvement that Senator Weber and Representative Javadi are, but still we do play or try to take part in that as much as we can. So we've been doing that. You can go ahead and mark your calendars. We have a date for our search and rescue banquet, auction and banquet. It is May 18th this year. Last year we were towards the end of April, and we've actually moved into mid-May for the event. Fairgrounds is a popular location, and so sometimes it's hard to get a weekend there. But like I said, May 18th is when we're having our search and rescue banquet. We will be having volunteers coming out and talking to folks about trying to get donations and work on prepping for that event. It was really, really good last year, and it's going to be even better this year. So I talked last week a little bit about our hiring activities. I still don't necessarily have a full update. I would encourage anybody who's not following our Facebook page to follow our Facebook page, because as the events happen, we'll put them up there. But what I can say is that I will be swearing in 3 new employees this month and swearing in an additional 2 next month. We still have people in background, and we have a testing event scheduled for early April. This will be similar to our hiring events that we've had in the past. The only difference is that this will be just for the written post test and the physical abilities, the ORPAT test. Does not necessarily have interviews the very next day. It's just a opportunity for people who are interested to be able to take their required tests in a little bit of a easier forum. So we'll be having that event early April. April 5th is when that's scheduled. We'll have some job openings posted here pretty soon, so we're still actively recruiting. We're making some really, really good headway on our office, and so that's always good. But at any rate, that's all I have, and I can take questions if need be.
Thank you, Sheriff. Well, it's very good news about hiring. It seems like there are a lot more applicants for jobs now than there were a year ago, and considerably more than there were 2 years ago. So the job market has opened up, and that's really good news for people who need to hire. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we just gotta, unfortunately, the size of our office and the nature of our work, we have turnover. Our turnover has decreased tremendously, but it's not at zero. So, we have lost a few people in the last year or so just because they've moved on to different careers, but hopefully we can work on getting our retainment level up as well.
Absolutely. So something that involves the sheriff and I is that this is budget season, and liaisons are meeting with their liaison departments and the treasurer to go over budget issues. The sheriff and I will be doing that this morning at 9. But Sheriff, I have to tell you that this call may not be over right at 9, so I'm probably going to be a few minutes late. I'm in Tillamook, but as soon as the call is over, I'll head out there.
All right, I will note that. It'll be an accepted tardiness. We'll say that. Huh? I'm just teasing. Yeah, I figured this might run a little long. So busy schedules.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you. How about Randy Thorpe? Do we have the emergency manager on this morning? Randy, are you with us? Well, if not, let's jump right into the Board of Commissioners reports, and I'll start with Commissioner Scar.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my trip to Washington, D.C. I left last Friday, a week ago Friday, and had the conference over the weekend and into the first of last week. So there was a lot of really good information and great stuff. So I traveled on Friday, and then Saturday participated in a National Association of Counties committee, of which I am a member, which is the Community Economic and Workforce Development Policy Steering Committee. This committee is a place where we look at, obviously, economic development and workforce, but also in that is housing, which is one of the main reasons that I have chosen to be a member of this committee. So it was a really good opportunity to hear from federal folks. So we got to hear from Claudia Monterosa, who's the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Grant Programs at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So I have a whole list of potential funding sources for housing that I will be digging into and really looking to see if there are any of these that we can use in Tillamook County that we have not yet explored. So that was a great presentation. We also heard from Joaquin El Toro with the Rural Housing Service at the Department of Agriculture. And again, a whole slate of housing programs that they have. And what's interesting is that every year they change these programs just a little bit. They tweak the rules. They really are looking at what is working, what is not working. And it's been interesting as the housing crisis has deepened across the nation. Tillamook County is not alone, but I think the federal agencies, much like our own state agencies, have begin to dive in and say what is true about our rural communities, that they're not utilizing the programs that we've designed for them. And they're beginning to make changes and tweaks. They are adding technical assistance and other staff support to help rural communities like ours use the programs they believe they have designed for us, but that we've been unable to use in the past. So I see this as an interesting and hopefully pivotal moment for federal funding to be able to come to our communities, because they're actually understanding that what they've created just doesn't really work at this time. So that was a great meeting. There were a number of other topics in there, including workforce trends. And what's interesting is that Tillamook County we think of ourselves as special, unique, and different, but really a lot of the same trends that we are seeing are the same across the nation. We are seeing fewer people coming into the workforce. The boomer generation was large, and many of them have retired, and the younger generations simply are not as numerous. So we are losing workforce. It is a net loss, which does put all of our country, Tillamook County included, in a difficult situation because we need workers. And they just aren't there. So that narrative that sometimes come out that says people just don't want to work, or we're paying them too much to stay at home, that hasn't borne out here in Tillamook County or across Oregon with the numbers that I've seen from our employment department. And then seeing those numbers at the federal level and realizing it's in fact not true across the nation either. We just have a smaller group coming in than we have going out on an age scale. So that was also just a really interesting thing. And I think one of the things about going back to this conference in Washington, D.C. and connecting with counties all across the nation is realizing that much of what we struggle with, everyone struggles with, and that as we look for solutions, we can look to our fellow counties across the nation, and this conference allows us to do that. So that was great. On Sunday, I attended the Rural Action Caucus, which is another opportunity to hear from various federal agencies on a number of topics and potential funding sources. So again, I have a number of things to dig into from that meeting. On Monday, we had a great opportunity. We heard from two folks who work hard in Washington, D.C. One of them was Representative Mark Molinaro, who is a Republican from upstate New York, who talked a bit about Congress and how it is working. And it was great to hear from someone actually on the ground in the House of Representatives there saying, I know what you see on TV is that nothing is getting done. But there's a lot of things that are getting done. Yes, there's controversy. Yes, there's challenge. Yes, there's struggle on certain bills, but there's just a lot of work being done. And that's a message that we hear from our own representatives and our senators when they come to Tillamook County and talk to us, that sure, there are contentious issues, but there's also just a lot of good work getting done, a lot of bipartisan bills being passed. So it was great to hear from him and just get that, that other perspective that takes us away from our news coverage. And then we had the opportunity to have President Biden speak directly to us, which, regardless of whatever party you may be a part of, sitting in the same room with a sitting president and hearing him talk about his beginnings as a county commissioner, it's a great opportunity. So that was also just a super thing to be a part of. On Monday afternoon, I had the opportunity to attend a workshop on the power of artificial intelligence, which is really interesting to think about. They were able to kind of lay out for us the things that we as government need to be concerned about related to artificial intelligence and our use of that, should we choose to bring it into our websites or the services for our residents, but also just how looking forward to what it can do for us. There are a few counties across the nation that have already begun that work. So there's some sample policies that we can take a look at to see if that's something we want to do. One of the main areas where people are using it, which is, things that we're all experiencing, which are chat bots. And there are counties across the nation that are starting to use those for answering basic questions off the website for constituents. And as we look at our budget and we look at our staffing and we try to figure out how to balance all of the needs and services of our community, there is a space there that we may need to start looking at more efficiencies. So this is just an interesting technology that's emerging that I think as a county, we need to make sure if we're going to use it, we use it safely. So some good information on that. And then on Tuesday, we had the opportunity to talk directly with all the different federal agencies. We had a tabling event where I was able to speak to FEMA, EPA, HUD, USDA Rural, and really focus in on housing, focus in on infrastructure, focus in on emergency response, and just make sure those agencies understood, again, what's it like on the ground for us in a small rural county. And again, what I got heard back was, we know we're changing things. We've got some new rules coming. Keep your eyes peeled. So I am hopeful that they are understanding the challenges for our small communities in using large federal programs. And then in the afternoon, we traveled to the Hill, where we were able to visit with Senator Wyden, as well as Senator Merkley's staff. I was able to highlight for Senator Wyden the loss of our dialysis center, and the reason for that being that Medicare, which is a great insurance, and everyone on dialysis, as I understand it, is on Medicare, which assures that there will always be someone to pay for their dialysis. But to point out to him that the reimbursement rate for dialysis was creating an unusable business model in our small rural community. So he said that he would definitely be looking at what is, the rural health issues, how can we look at what changes could be made there. So use the opportunity to highlight that with the senator. So it was a great opportunity. I think there's a lot of information and hope coming back. And just a reminder that, as your local county, we are a small county, and sometimes it feels like we're here in Tillamook County just, grinding away, trying to make sure that we have roads and we have housing and we have, the basic services, but being reminded that we are a part of a much larger structure of government, that the federal government is back there passing laws and approving allocations of funding, but the programs hit the ground right here through county government. So it's just a reminder that we the people, for the people, by the people, county government is where the rubber hits the road. So thank you for that, and I will turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Well, it was wonderful to hear your Washington, D.C. report, so thank you for that. How about Commissioner Olson?
Well, good morning again, Commissioner. I'll report on 2 or 3 things this morning that I think will be of interest to all of us here in Tillamook County. Earlier, Representative Javity mentioned the potential bill that would make some corrections to our administrative rules having to do with recreational immunity. This came about because there was an individual who was crossing a bridge on a trail owned by the city of Newport. She slipped and fell and broke her leg and ended up suing the city of Newport. Under current law, some immunity is granted to the local jurisdiction, in this case, the city of Newport, because you sort of use these trails at your own risk. However, the lawyer said, well, maybe it should be looked at again and opened up, and it turns out the courts have agreed. And what they're saying is, and this is a distinction only a lawyer could appreciate, was she recreating by crossing a bridge and using a trail, or was she using it as a transportation avenue to something else? So that has yet to be decided. But to make a long story short, Tillamook County has closed at least a couple of trails and perhaps will do some more. And the legislature is currently hoping to find a temporary fix, meaning for a year, until the longer legislative session next year can craft a more durable and lasting and permanent fix. So the reason nothing has been done so far, as I understand it, is the Oregon Trial Lawyers Association showed up late on Friday, and of course, when they come into the building, then things are likely to change. So we'll leave it at that, and more to come on that. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I'm not sure this is still active in the legislature, but in any event, I think our citizens here in Tillamook County need to understand this because it has some pretty profound implications should it become law. There's a House Joint Resolution 201. Now, what this provides is that there would be a statewide property tax if the voters approve it in November. Now, typically, if you go back to your high school civics lessons and perhaps others, there's three ways that local governments and state governments receive money. One is the sales tax, and of course, we do not have that in the state of Oregon. Then there's an income tax that we do have, and it's, I think, the second or third highest in America. And then we have real property taxes. The Oregon uses, as I said, two, an income tax and property tax. For years and years and years, in fact, going back as far as anyone can remember, the state has funded its activities and requirements through an income tax. And the cities, counties, and special districts have taken advantage of the provisions for real property taxes. And that's the way it's been for years. This particular resolution would place a measure before the voters in November to create a statewide property tax, and that would be a first. And the reason that's important for two reasons. Number one, it's something that's never happened, and it sort of opens the door on who can tax in what capacity and for what amounts and so on. And that's a major departure from what we're doing. The second thing this measure does, it goes around what the voters put in place about 30 years ago, measures 5, 47, and 50, which restricted property tax increases to 3% per year over a value at that time. And then it also set dollar amounts for schools and then for general government. This would bypass that. And it would also, as I said, create a real property tax statewide that Oregon has never done. And so it would be put in place to support law enforcement and perhaps even fighting forest fires, both things that would be relatively popular and people are likely to support in some fashion. But think about the implications of changing the entire tax structure of the state of Oregon and what it would mean for cities, counties, special districts, and then the state itself. It would simply open another door. So more to come on that one as it moves through the system. The last thing I want to talk about just briefly is the Habitat Conservation Plan, which is currently being considered by the Oregon Department of Forestry. Now, keep in mind there are two forest management groups in Oregon. There are federal forests, and you have many of them here in Oregon, including the Mount Hood National Forest, Willamette National Forest, the Siuslaw here in Tillamook County, and others. This is the state of Oregon and the state forests. And there are several. There's the Clatsop and Santiam, and then, of course, here in Tillamook is far and away the largest. We have in Tillamook County, and these are numbers from the Department of Forestry as well as the Association of Oregon Counties. There are currently 296,946 acres in the forest, Tillamook State Forest, right here in Tillamook County. That's the largest by a significant amount of any county in Oregon. Currently, as it stands right today, about 201,000 of those acres are open for harvest. And they go out periodically, and the various timber companies, lumber companies bid on them. And they, if they're awarded a contract, they have 3 years to harvest. And the money comes back, goes to them. It goes to the State Department of Forestry, and then it comes to the county and many of the special districts here in the county. If the Habitat Conservation Plan is accepted and becomes part of state law, and I believe they're considering it in March, it will take out an additional 88,615 acres available for harvest. That's almost 44% of what is currently available. So that would leave, out of the total amount here in Tillamook County, only 38% available for harvest. And you think about that, almost 2/3 of the forest surrounding us would not be available for harvest. Now, some people may say, well, that's exactly the way it should be, that we should leave the trees standing and let nature take its course. And others would say, well, maybe there's a balance somewhere we can harvest and replant. Those are the issues before us. What it means for Tillamook County is a significant reduction of the monies that come to the county. And not only that, there are 21 special districts here in Tillamook County, and that includes fire districts, recreation district, water and sanitary sewer, and so on. Of those 21, 16 get money from our state forest here in Tillamook County. So just pass that out as information that if this does become public policy, it will remain in place for 70 years, longer than most all of us on this call today will be around. And the reduction will be substantial, and you can think for yourselves what that means to Tillamook County. But so I just pass that along as information. That's the debate and the conversations are coming to a close. I don't believe there's any more hearings scheduled. I did testify at one, and I will tell you that of the numbers of people testifying, it was probably 85% environmental organizations and maybe 15 or 20% of people representing either local government, including myself, and others representing the forest products industry. So it is what it is, and that's where we are. So I think I'll leave it at that, and people can certainly follow up on that and pay attention, because this affects us directly, not only financially, but jobs and throughout all Tillamook County. So with that, Commissioner, thank you very much, and I'll yield my time on to others.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Do we have any questions for Commissioner Skar or Commissioner Olson? If not, I am going to move on to the cities. How about the city of Manzanita? Do we have Mayor Stock with us this morning? Do we have anyone from Manzanita this morning? Well, if you're having trouble unmuting, we'll come back to you. How about the city of Nehalem? The city of Wheeler? Rockaway Beach? Do we have Mayor McNeely this morning? How about the city of Garibaldi? The city of Bay City?
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. This is City Manager McCall. Can you hear me?
Good morning, we can.
Hey, I would just like to give a quick update. We had our city council meeting last week, and there are a couple things that the city council approved. One, we have 2 TLT projects that received approval for a total of $60,000, moving those projects forward. Another thing, the city council also unanimously approved our participation in the Tillamook Bay Trails Coalition. That is a group of a total of 10 organizations from the south end of Bay City, so including the Tillamook County Pioneer Museum, which operates Kilch's Point Reserve, up through Rockaway Beach, and including all the different organizations in between that are parks and trails related. And it is the intention of the 10 organizations to work together and try to leverage our efforts and find some funding to develop and maintain trails and move things forward in this fairly small section of the coast. But it's kind of surprising to see how many of us are involved, and hopefully we'll be able to coordinate our efforts on that and move forward in the near future. And the last thing I would like to remind people, we do have 3 openings on our city budget committee. If you are a resident of Bay City and interested in serving on the budget committee, it's only 1, maybe 2 days when we have our meetings. Please go on our website, find the application, or stop by City Hall and fill out an application to serve on the budget committee. We need your input. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate your report, and thanks for talking about the Tillamook Bay Trails Coalition, which I had not heard about prior to this, prior to your report. So thank you. I'll get some more information on that.
Okay, I think you're a key member of it, so I hope you'll hear about it.
Yeah, me too. Let's move on to the city of Tillamook. Nathan George, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. I am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Yes, I have several things here. Hope everyone enjoyed their holiday yesterday. In the police department, Lieutenant Troxel attended the local public safety coordinating council meeting. This meeting was well attended, and retired Lieutenant Mike Lawas was appointed as a lay citizen to the council. City Manager George, myself, the city planner Carpenter, and Lieutenant Troxel all attended the Tillamook People's Utility District luncheon last week. The lunch was well attended. The great updates on our power distribution system was quite fascinating to learn more about our power system and how it works, and also the rate comparison with other utilities in our area, this northwest region of the country. This week, the police department held its quarterly department meeting. This was in the last week. This included training from the Oregon Department of Motor Vehicles. The training topic was regarding identifying and working with drivers who are not impaired by alcohol or drugs, rather a medical or physical condition that could interfere with their abilities to safely operate a motor vehicle. And I generally attend that meeting as well. I just wasn't able to attend that portion of it. But that's always a great meeting to have with our police department. They work 24/7. And so it always has to be a specific time to be able to get everyone together. Our school resource officer, Trent Olson, Lieutenant Troxel, attended and participated in the memorial service for the Beaverton Police Department Sergeant Mark Groshong. Groshong started his law enforcement career with the Tillamook Police Department before going to the Sheriff's Office, Tillamook Sheriff's Office, and then working for Beaverton. So the service was well attended. In the Public Works Department, I want to talk about our ordinance violation notices that will be going out slowly regarding our sewer lateral lines to residents who have failed sewer laterals test. An amendment to the existing sewer ordinance was adopted back in November of last year, and it gives citizens 180 days to fix their sewer laterals, along with an extension period of additional 180 days if granted. So what it is it's basically in the past, and anybody who has questions can please call us or email us. In the past, residents have been, since at least the 1977 code, I believe it went into place in 1978, right around the 1977 code, the residents are been responsible for their own sewer lines for this in the city since 1970s. And they've had 60 days to test and fix any problems. Well, the city council has changed that at the recommendation of staff here just a few months ago. So you now have 6 months to get it tested. If there's having problems, if there is a problem, then you have 6 months to fix it. And then if you file for a hardship and you are approved through the city manager's office, you can have up to an additional potential 180 days, so another 6 months. So city would like to encourage and remind citizens of the insurance policy. It's actually a warranty program through HomeServe. This very low-cost insurance can help provide financial assistance when fixing sewer laterals, also your water line going to your home. And any questions about this policy we can answer here at City Hall. So those are something I announced for quite a while, about 2 years ago when we first got that and first came to the city. But again, the sewer laterals are a serious issue. They are actually 50 to 70% of the sewers issues with the city, the sewer issues that we're having, actually fall upon the residential systems that have not been haven't been taken care of for decades. I'm not saying everyone hasn't taken care of, but a lot of them haven't been taken care of. That's why we have the problem. So we are enforcing that now. It'll be a little bit of time. We're not going to go enforce the entire city at once. We're focusing on areas, do a little bit of time so we can keep working. And again, we're here for you, and we're trying to figure out everything we can do to help. So again, and the last thing is, again, we are not trying to cite people just to get money. That's not our policy. What we're trying to do is work with people to help them get them fixed, to help make this problem be fixed in the city so we can actually have development throughout the city, especially on the east side. So our dedicated public works crews operate from 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday to ensure the smooth functioning essential service within the city of Tillamook. Please get in touch with an on-call employee after hours or anytime, 503-842-2472, and also for urgent matters. So that number is on our website. It's probably you can find the phone book. That is our number, and you can find it anywhere. And you can call that number anytime, and when it's off hours, it will go to the non-emergency. So for any questions, non-urgent items, or maintenance requests within city limits, you can also email our Public Works Department at publicworks@tillamookor.gov. We prioritize addressing inquiries in order they are received, and we appreciate your patience as we strive to make them provide timely and efficient service. So thank you for your cooperation in this area. Again, if we get a request for a street or something that's not quite in our jurisdiction, that's not a problem. We'll be happy to send it over to ODOT or to the county. City staff met with the Tillamook Board of Realtors last week to dedicate our dedicated members that are out there working for our new residents and homes to discuss the sewer lateral lines and the situation going on there with the new ordinance. So as a whole, they were very receptive and really appreciate this coming. We spent a lot of time. I know some of our Public Works Department even stayed even longer after the meeting and helped answer questions. And we really appreciate their dedication and their willingness to work together with the city to try to get these homes, along with the fixed, along with the ordinance. I failed to mention earlier, though I've mentioned it multiple times on the radio, is that it now has a point of sale requirement as well. So when a home is sold or changed, it has to have the inspection done, and if it is a problem, then it has to be fixed. So the guidelines are in place, and we appreciate the realtors willing to work with us. They were very receptive. Again, we have several positions available at the City of Tillamook. Please visit our website or stop by City Hall for an application. A reminder, if you see something, say something, like calling 911 for emergencies and dispatch for non-emergencies. And it's anything. If you see something and you think it seems strange, just call. It's okay. If it's okay, then it works out great. If it's not, then it's always good that our emergency services are aware. And our next council meeting will be held on March 4th. On Monday, and that will actually be a work session, and we will be discussing sewer lateral lines, coincidentally, and we also be looking forward to a presentation from our law enforcement about the good things that we're doing and the education we're working with our community. And that's all I have, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate your report. I would like to circle back to the cities in the north. Do we have Mayor Stock on from Manzanita?
Good morning, Mary Faith. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. And I will admit I joined the call late this morning, so I apologize to the folks who've been doing their reporting, and I missed the first part of the meeting. It's part of getting in the rhythm of a new job. So my apologies, but I'm very glad to be here. I'll keep it brief for the city. I would like to just call out the fact many of you may be aware of. The city of Manzanita is about to embark on a comprehensive planning process, basically a total revamp, really, of our comprehensive plan that's been in place for a very long time and has had some shifts and tweaks to it, but we're undergoing a substantial effort with that. That is already underway. We're working to find an excellent consultant partner to work with us on that process. We have a call out to our community for interested citizens to serve on an advisory committee to help ensure that we are on a good and solid path with listening to our community and understanding concerns and hopes and things people are excited about. So all that will be coming together and getting underway and becoming more public in the next month or so. We expect it to be probably a year and a half worth of work. Our planning commission has been revving up to get ready for the large workload they will have, and we're really excited about it. So I will leave it at that and send everybody our best wishes from somewhat rainy Manzanita today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have anything else for this call today? Anything else for the good of the order? If not, we will adjourn this community updates call at 9:10 a.m. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everyone for participating. And thanks to KTIL for broadcasting this call. We are adjourned.